Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Today I have come into work just a bit early to kind of sit down here and give you an update on what's happening with the court case. Some of you may well be here for this very reason, or at least will have seen the previous video where I've told you that I'm being taken to court for a car that we sold and the customer was then happy with it 7 months later, I think it was. And yeah, we've already had one hearing. We were waiting to find out what was going to happen next. So here it is. Let me tell you what's happened now. Okay, so for those of you that don't know the story, let me give you a quick rundown. Basically, back in 2021, we sold a Audi Q7 on 146,000 miles. It was 15 years old at the time, and it was a car that was on the forecourt. I don't think we really wanted to sell it. Maybe one of the lads had brought it into stock and listed it, and I realised, you know what, actually this is, it's not an ideal piece of stock for us, high mileage, and it had a couple of little niggles that we needed to work out. So anyway, customers turn up, they kind of insisted on having it, wanted to put a deposit down, wanted to wait for us to do some work, which was changing a door hinge or a check strap because it was like clicking, and there was, because the car had to be jump started, we thought there was an air suspension light on. The air suspension was working perfectly fine, but a light was on. Cut a long story short, basically the customers had waited a few weeks for us to try and get this door hinge, which was a bit of a nightmare to find. We had to get one from Lithuania, and just said, look, we'll take the car as it is and we'll bring it back to you in a month's time for its repairs on the air suspension, etc. We were a bit hesitant. Again, we didn't really want to do it, but in the end, they were so desperate for a car that we felt like we had no choice really. So we let them take the car, and we didn't see it again for another couple of months, if not a few months by this point. At which point we tried a couple of different things. We did have the car for 2 or 3 weeks, I think, while we changed an air distributor block for the air suspension. We also changed, in the end, an air suspension pump, which took us buying a couple of different ones. Originally, we tried to buy an original one from TPS, but it was wrong. It wouldn't fit with the pipe work and everything. It wasn't correct. So we did have to get one from eBay in the end. It was the only place we could find one that would fit. So we changed that. Everything was fine. No lights, air suspension going up and down perfectly. We changed the door hinge. We even fixed some parking sensors for them, or fitted some additional parking sensors. And then once it was all done, I kind of put a bottle of gin and some flowers and chocolates or something in the car. And off the customer went, very happy and grateful. And we didn't hear anything again for about another 4 or 5 months when they came back to us to say, oh, you didn't fix the air suspension, it's gone wrong, and we need you to fix it, sort of thing. It went wrong 3 months after you didn't fix it, but fixed it. So we said, okay, well, you are completely outside your warranty now. By this point, it was 7 months down the line and from purchase, and I think it was, I can't remember exactly now, but it was at least 7,000 miles as well they'd put on the car. I said, but if you get it back to us, look, we'll look at it. If it's the pump again, we'll change it, no problem. And if it's not, we'll do what we can to help you out. And they insisted that they wouldn't bring it to us. They wouldn't pay to get the car back to us to have it fixed. We had to come and collect it. Bearing in mind, this customer was about 3.5, 4 hours away from us. And obviously, it's a Q7, big vehicle. We'd have to go on the trailer rather than our recovery truck. And I just said, well, sorry, but you're outside of warranty. It's kind of your responsibility to get it back to us if you want it fixed for free. And things escalated from there to them saying they were going to take us to court, at which point I said, well, that's fine. Obviously I don't want it to come to that, but if you have to take me to court, you have to take me to court, because I am not going to give you what they were asking for at that point was £3,000 to fix some unknown air suspension fault, of which they'd given me no proof there was a fault, no diagnostics, no invoices or anything like that. And I said, well, look, I'm just simply not doing it, so you'll just have to take me to court, which is what they did. Roll on, lots of back and forth, letters, etc. I got my kind of legal team involved, which is logistics. It makes it sound like, I have lawyers on retention. I don't really. They just offer legal kind of advice and services to car dealers, and they offer paperwork, etc. They also can administer our warranties and everything. So for a fixed fee per year, which I think costs us about £800, they will also help do all the paperwork and casework for, I think, up to 5 claims, which hopefully we never have to use it ever again, but it is a reassurance to know it's there. So shout out to logistics again for kind of having our back there and being able to put together a kind of really stringent defence, which kind of ruled right from the get-go that the claimant didn't have a claim to bring against us because she'd bought it in her auntie's name. She'd used the name of her 95-year-old auntie on the paperwork when she bought the car because she was going through a divorce and she didn't want her ex-husband to know that she had this money or this car. Of course, that's not how she explained it to the court when it came down to it. She tried to tell the judge that the reason they'd put the car in the auntie's name was because they took her to the shops in it. So therefore, they put it in her name. Just bizarre, and obviously the judge wasn't accepting any of that. The judge had said, you either need to dismiss this claim and start a fresh one in your auntie's name, or you can get your auntie to adjoin this claim with you as her as the main claimant and you as a party of it. To which she thought, well, that's not fair. Why would I, it's not fair to ask my 95-year-old auntie to get involved in this legal case. Well, she was happy to use her to dodge, some kind of, to hide some assets. And the judge said, you've got 30 days in order to put this in order. It's just an online form. She can fill it out. And if you've got that in place, then in 30 days' time, we'll look at perhaps getting a legal expert involved on whether the car was faulty or not at the time. But the judge did warn her that if before you go to all this effort of getting your auntie involved, are you sure that you have a claim to bring? Was the car ever fixed at any point? Which the claimant said, no, it was never fixed. They never fixed it properly. To which I replied, well, obviously it was because you drove it for another 3 months and about 5,000 miles without getting in contact with us. So I can only assume that the car was perfectly fine. And when there was a fault occurring, it was a different symptom than original, which was just the light. Now the whole suspension had gone down and wouldn't go back up or whatever. So it could have been an airbag, which at 146,000 miles, 7,000 miles after they bought it from us, the car was 15, 16 years old at this point, and it had been 7 or 8 months since they purchased it from us. I'm not really responsible anymore. Although I did say I would help them out if they brought it back to us, but of course they refused. So, of course, I was eagerly waiting for these 30 days to roll by for the 29th of April or whatever it was, which was the deadline for them to get the auntie to join the claim. If not, then it seemed like it wasn't going to go any further. And obviously, I'm anxiously waiting. The claimant's asking for £7,000 from me, which is £500 more than they ever paid for the car. Plus, the car's got about 10,000 more miles on it now. But they never filed anything, at which point you have to fill in a directions questionnaire, which kind of lets the court know what you are happy to happen next. So I filled out all of my details and said that if we had to get a expert involved, someone like ACE vehicle inspectors, who I have to say I don't really think that highly of, they would inspect the vehicle and make a decision on whether the fault was present when we sold it, therefore it was my responsibility, or whether something else had happened further on and it was just, wear and tear. Therefore the customer's responsibility. And then everything just went quiet, and it's been a couple of months since then. We're now on the 17th of June, and I've been trying to get through to the small claims court, who pushed me around to the court itself where it was actually held in the region, and I tried calling those and just couldn't get through until yesterday, where I actually managed to get through to someone on the small claims hotline or something, who told me that the claimant had been in touch with the court on the 24th of April, but they couldn't tell me what it was. So I had to phone, it was Walsall Court in the Midlands, to figure out what's actually happened. The amazing news is that on the 24th of April, the contact that the claimant had made with the court was to say that they didn't want to pursue the claim anymore. And I can see why. I don't think they really had any chance of winning at this point. I think the judge had made it clear that it wasn't going to take any nonsense, and that probably they weren't within their rights to make a claim. So a huge weight off of my mind, but it's a bit disappointing that they hadn't let me know for about 2 months that this court case was ended. I had to phone up and find out myself. I expected that they would perhaps send me a letter or an email like they had to let me know that this court case was going ahead. My sort of legal team logistics couldn't tell me anything because the court had to deal with me personally. So for 2 months since the claimant had said that they don't want to pursue it anymore, I've had no contact, no knowledge of this whatsoever until I phoned up and found out. But either way, I can live with that. I know now that, we can put this to bed, and, we shouldn't have to worry about this. I suppose they could put another claim in the future, But I think it's highly unlikely. I think they probably realised that perhaps they were pushing their luck a little bit. And perhaps this all stemmed from hoping that I would just back down and say, look, here, have £7,000 back. Or what they were originally asking for was £3,000 back on a £6,500 car that they'd bought, which I just, unfortunately, I just can't afford to do, even if I wanted to. And I didn't want to, out of principle. So it's a great result for us. I know, car dealers probably aren't going to get a huge amount of sympathy, but if you haven't seen the previous videos, please do. I'll put the link up here, and you can kind of get more details on the whole story when it was actually fresh and I was dealing with it. And I think you'll find it hard to side with the people who are trying to claim from us. They bought an old premium car that's going to need maintenance, and basically they wanted me to be responsible for maintaining their car forever. At least that's how I felt about it. So feeling hugely vindicated, and very glad that this will be the last court update that hopefully I ever have to do on this channel. 9 times out of 10, I really try and resolve any issues with customers, if there are any. As an after-sales point of view, if a customer has a problem with a car, we always want to help them out. Even if it's gone past their warranty point, technically, still like to help them out, whether that's right or wrong or not. But when this particular customer was saying, you have to come and collect the car from me in 4 hours away, and we're not willing to make any effort to get it back to you to have it repaired for free, I just thought, why am I running around doing all of this for you? There's no reason I should. I know that people want to think car dealers are the bad guys, but I don't think that's really fair. Anyway, a very quick video. I know a lot of people asked what's been happening with the court case, and I just simply didn't know until literally I'm making this video now at about 9:45, and I'm hoping to have it out this afternoon. So I didn't know until yesterday, Friday, what was actually happening with this. So great news. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And make sure you subscribe. Plenty more content coming out all the time, including the podcast. Hopefully no more updates on court, but this is the car trade, so you never know. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and Facebook as well. Lots of behind the scenes updates always on Instagram. And of course, if you're looking to sell your car, visit my website, carsboughtformore.com, enter your details. We'll try and come back to you with a really competitive quote, pay the same day, and you might even have your car end up on the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.